What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be doing something that I'm super excited about. I've had this mod for a little while now, and that is the digital cluster for this BMW F30. If you guys aren't familiar with them, this is what it looks like right over here. It's fully digital, which is awesome. So that of course means we're going to be swapping out this normal analog one. This one does actually have a digital screen. It's only right there in the center. It's super small. One of the downsides about this cluster, and the reason why I wanted to change it, is because this is actually a Canadian car. So if you guys can tell, the speedometer is actually a little different. It's not too bad. I really shouldn't be complaining, but overall, I just want a digital cluster regardless. I also think it's just going to give this interior a more premium and expensive feel to it. We will be doing more stuff like swapping out the steering wheel, swapping out the trim, all that type of stuff. If you guys didn't know already, I did a couple small things like that crystal start button right over there. And then I also did the sport pedals, if you guys can see them down there as well. So this digital cluster is just my next step in making this car feel a little more premium and luxurious. I did get this from my friend Chris, so huge shout out to him for selling it to me. So that of course means I didn't buy it new, but for anybody who does want it, I will leave some links to some new ones down in the description below. Also feel free to take a look at like Facebook Marketplace. I don't think too many people are selling them, but it's worth a shot. Also, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm putting it in this car, my BMW F30, the 330, and not my 435, which I do go a little more crazy on, there's a strong reason for that. I kind of mentioned it in one of my recent videos, but honestly guys, the 435 just feels more sporty to me. This 330, although I will make it also feel a little more sporty, I'm going to be tuning it, doing all that type of stuff. I do want this car to be a little more luxurious. I do drive this car most of the time. I'd probably say like 70% of the time. So I'm just in this car a lot more. So I want to be able to enjoy the digital cluster more. Whereas in the 435, I only drive it to have fun, drive it to car shows. So I really don't drive it that much. And I feel like I want to get my money's worth out of this digital cluster. Also, I feel like the analog gauges in that car suit it a lot better. They're also just the normal US ones, so they don't look like these Canadian ones. And yeah, overall, I just think the digital cluster suits this car better. I think the analog cluster suits the 435 better. But with that said, guys, what I'm gonna do is install this digital cluster and then we'll get it coded so it operates correctly. I will also show you guys like just how it kind of works and what it looks like at the end of the video. So if you guys do want to see that, definitely stick around. But yeah, guys, with that said, let's just hop into installing this thing. We'll get it coded and we'll go from there. So the first thing we have to do, since we're dealing with electronics, is actually disconnect the battery. Do ignore the messy trunk, by the way. But yeah, guys, we're gonna access the car battery from over here. We're gonna disconnect the negative terminal. All right, so just like that, guys, I got the negative terminal disconnected. It's just a 10mm. I pushed it off to the side. I also put a microfiber cloth over here just to make sure the trunk doesn't close on me. But yeah, with that said, now we can actually start removing the original cluster, which by the way, guys, is super easy. It's just these two screws, as you guys can see there. I believe they're T20s. So let me start removing that. Once we disconnect those screws, we can actually just pull this down, lift it out of here. And then there's just a couple connections holding it in. But yeah, it's honestly super easy to take out. All right, so as you guys saw, I got the old cluster out. Super easy, literally just those two screws. You just pull it down and out. You do have a couple tabs over here that you have to watch out for, so just kind of like follow the shape of this if you guys can see it. When I was watching Brian's video, he did mention that there's like a retainer clip or something like that. Mine didn't have that, so I don't know if mine just didn't come with it because maybe my car's an LCI, or maybe someone did this before and they broke it. I don't really know. By the way, we had two connections holding it in. So this one over here, which if you guys can tell, there's a little tab on this side right there. If you guys can see, I'm pressing it in. I just want to press that and remove it. On this one, the tab is actually on top right here, if you guys can see that. So just press that in and remove it. Yeah, maybe really quickly before I install the new cluster, maybe just a quick side-by-side comparison. So that's obviously the old one, the original one, and here is the digital one. So of course, this one does have the analog speedometer, gas, all that type of stuff, but it also has that screen right there. If you guys can see, it's pretty small. Whereas this one here, it is all digital. It's not just all one huge flat screen like the G chassis ones, but it's still really nice. It's still all digital. If you guys can kind of follow the shape of the screen like that. So overall, I think it's going to be a huge improvement. It's even better when it's on because this thing's going to change in sport mode, eco mode, comfort mode, and of course I will show you that at the end of the video once this thing is coded. But for now, let's just finish installing it on the car. just like that, guys, the new cluster is in. It's not even on, and it looks so freaking good. What I probably should have done before actually reinstalling it was put the car battery back on and actually test it, make sure it works. But either way, I'm sure it's fine. When you guys do put in the new clips, make sure they clip in. Like, it felt like it was in, but you have to push it in that much more. You'll actually hear it clip. Other than that, you just kind of have to finesse it back in there. It was a little bit of a pain, but as you guys saw, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I got it in pretty quick. And then these last two screws, obviously just put those back in. But anyways, other than that, guys, I'm gonna run to the back of the trunk. We'll reconnect the battery and let's see if this thing works. Of course, it's still not coated, but I think it should still light up and function for the most part, at least. So let's try it out. All right, so the battery's connected. As you guys can tell, the cluster is working. You probably saw that message right there. Looks like it was in German or something. That's totally fine. We'll code it properly to English and all that type of stuff. But I'm curious to see if we turn on the car, what it's gonna be like. Oh, it actually works. It's still not coded, but it is still working. I don't think it's gonna work properly. Yeah, like if I rev the car, obviously it's not going to you know, function the same. As you guys can also tell, I'm getting some error messages over here. Again, totally fine. We're gonna get this thing coded and get it working properly, but just right off the bat, this thing looks awesome. All right, guys, so I played around with it for a little bit. It actually seems to be working more than I thought it would. Obviously, I still need to get this thing coded, and then I wanna show you guys what it's like. I don't wanna show you right now because some things are working, but not everything's working. So I wanna show you when everything's like totally up and operating, because it is showing up in like German and which is pretty cool actually. But anyways, we'll get this thing working properly and then I'll show you guys what it's actually like. So still stick around, there's a lot more to come to the video. But yeah, guys, hopefully in the next clip, this thing's working. All right, guys, so it's been a few days since I last filmed, since I installed the cluster and I got it coded. Everything is working now. The cluster is 100% operational. So let's not waste any time. I'll turn on the car and I'll show you guys what the cluster looks like. All right, so without turning on the cluster yet, this is what it looks like when it's completely off. You guys can probably tell, not the whole thing is digital. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Like some of the newest digital clusters from BMW, it's just basically an entire screen. This one sort of has like these two circles, as you guys can see here, and then a very large center screen over there. You also have a digital like gas gauge over there and a digital oil temperature gauge over there. But with that said, let's turn it on and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Here is just a quick look at what it looks like. I will show you guys some like more detailed stuff in a second here. Right off the bat, I'm looking at the camera screen and I can see that the cluster is flickering. That's just because of like something with LED lights, guys. It definitely does not do that in person. In person, it is just a solid light. There's no flickering. Again, that is strictly on camera. So now one of the big things with these clusters is they do change when you go from like eco mode to comfort to sport. So let me just show you that really quickly. So this is comfort mode right over here. So it looks very traditional and clean. If we were to put it into eco mode, so you guys can see right over there, it's like this all blue look. But anyways, let's just go back up to comfort mode. So again, this clean, more traditional look. And then the coolest one, which I'm sure all of you guys already know about, is the sport mode. So if we go to sport, it turns into this. So this is really cool. So if I can just rev it a little bit, you guys can see there, you have your RPMs, and then you just have a large digital speedometer right over there. I know in my case, I have like this smaller speedometer. I think that's because I already had like a speedometer coded into this car that used to appear like down over here on the previous cluster. I think since I still have that coded in, it's appearing over here. So I will look into that and I'll see if I can turn that off. But yeah, it is pretty cool. Everything goes red, even like the gas lights, which is pretty cool. If you go into Sport Plus, nothing changes. You'll just see that the traction control turns off. So you'll get that light at the top there, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. So you just have Sport, Comfort, and Eco. And yeah, guys, just overall having this cluster in the car makes it feel a little newer. It makes it feel more premium and more expensive, which is kind of the route that I wanted to go with this car. Although I do want this car to feel a little more sporty, I also want it to feel a little more luxurious. And these digital clusters definitely do that. Something I didn't mention to you guys, while I was there getting my cluster coded, I actually had them update my iDrive system. So now it's this newer, I think it's iDrive Evo 6, I want to say. I think I had iDrive Evo 5 before. But yeah, it's just a newer one. So this also helps the car feel a little newer, in my opinion. Again, my goal is to make my 435 like my sportier, you know, like funner car to drive. This one's supposed to be a daily and supposed to be comfortable and, you know, just feel more premium, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Again, that's the reason why I put this cluster inside this car and not the 435. But yeah, overall, it's absolutely amazing. I will say it's definitely expensive. And there's definitely a lot that I learned about this cluster throughout this whole process. So in one of my upcoming videos, I will talk about like things you should know before buying one of these, because it is a large investment. Again, I bought mine used. you can probably get them used for like $1,000. But if you buy them new, they're like $1,700. So they're definitely not cheap. I think you guys should really know like everything about them before buying it. Just knowing all the pain points and all that type of stuff, because there's more to it than just buying it. I know that doesn't really make much sense right now, but again, in my upcoming video, I'll talk about that. I just don't want this video to be too long. Like, we installed it, I showed you guys like a quick look about it. So in a future video, I'll show you guys like some more stuff and features, because there is a lot, and I think we can code in some features as well, which will be interesting using Beamer code. And then in another video, I want to talk about like things you guys should know before buying these and buying a new one versus a used one, which is very critical. But anyways, with that said, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. A lot more videos coming about this 330, the 435, the X3, even these clusters specifically, like I was just talking about. And yeah, lots to come. So hit that subscribe button. Also, while you're at it, please drop this video a like. It really helps me out, guys, and it is free, I promise. But yeah, with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.